Hello and welcome everybody to the Fast Track to Fearless mini summit. My name's Tracy Forsyth. I'm the founder of Fast Track to Fearless, and I'm so happy to have you all here. We have just kicked off at 7 o'clock in the UK. So I want to say hello to everybody that's joining me from the UK, and also to all my friends and colleagues in New York and the East Coast. It's 2 o'clock with you. So I hope you've had a good lunch. And also I know that I have friends and colleagues and followers dialing in. Are we dialing in? We're watching from Los Angeles. So hello to the globe. So I'm so delighted to have you here. I'm just going to explain what's going to happen today. As you know, we've got 5 amazing speakers today, all on the subject of becoming fearlessly you in your career. So 5 speakers, and then you have me, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about an upcoming course that I've got. There are prizes along the way. Now, just as a bit of a carrot to stay until the end, you have to be here until the end to win the prize. You've got to be in it to win it. I'd just like to introduce you to my right-hand woman, Dima. Here she is. Hi, say hi, Dima.
Hello.
So Dima is doing everything behind the scenes. She's helping with all the tech because neither of us have used this platform before, but we're both really, really loving it. So Dima is going to be able to have a look at all your comments in the chat box, and whether you're joining us from Facebook or LinkedIn, hopefully all those comments are going to come to us here. So please do enter where you are, first of all, and what you're excited about. That would be brilliant. Okay, so Dima, I'm going to remove you. Okay, we will see her later. She's going to be doing the prize draw, so very, very important. So taking her out. And then I also just want to show you some of the, first of all, sorry, I should just explain a little bit about what Fast Track to Fearless is. So I've had a really fantastic career in television, starting at the bottom and ending up at the top. And then I decided when I got to the top, I thought, well, I'm not quite sure what else to do. You know, I like to learn, I like new experiences. And I kind of hit sort of a bit of a bumper thinking, well, what do I do now? And what I realized is that what I was really moved to do was use the experience and the expertise that I had got to really help other people to develop self-belief and confidence, to empower them. Because all around me, I saw super talented people who were holding themselves back through self-doubt and limitation. And I just had this desire to get out there and use all the things that I had been through and empower other people to really believe in themselves and to become fearless about who they are and what they want and how to get it. Because I think that's the way that we are going to change the world for the better. People have to be empowered to really make a difference. And it just killed me seeing so many talented people all around me that really doubted themselves. And so my mission in life is really to remove those blocks of self-doubt and perceived limitations from talented people so that they become fearless about who they are and go on to have amazing careers and change the world. So that's me. And I'm going to be telling you a little bit more about me if you don't know me already. But first, I want to tell you about the prizes that we have got coming up. Okay, so hang on, I'm just going to press this little button and hopefully it's going to work. Bear with me. Prizes share. Okay, yes, excellent. Right, so there are prizes. So first off, we have 2 sets of a Fast Track to Fearless mug, a coaster, and a notebook. Because I don't know whether, if you're like me, you like to have something on your desk that inspires you and motivates you and just reminds you how talented you are. So these are my fierce, fabulous, and fearless sets. I have got a little shop opening on my fasttracktofearless.com website, and these are the very, very first ones that have come off the production line, if you were. So these are the very, very first ones, the prototypes, and I have 2 sets to give away. So you can see the different colors there. If you like those little hardback notebooks to write down inspirational thoughts or things, you have a lovely mug and a coaster. Now, I don't know how excited you can get about a coaster, but actually what I will say about the coasters is that we are not going to be selling those. So those 2 are the only ones in existence. So if you win this prize, you will have an original that hopefully one day will be worth something. All right. So those are two prizes there. The next prize, well, it's 2 prizes. There are 2 private yoga in the boardroom sessions, which is presented by me. So one of the things that I do is I created a corporate wellness workshop called Yoga in the Boardroom, and it is showing you how to adapt yoga moves when you are suited and booted or in the office or working at home to help you feel empowered, to help you present more confidently, to release tension from your neck, shoulders, back, etc., from having the laptop punch. So it's a wonderful workshop that I take out to, I've done all over Facebook, ASOS, big law firms. So I'm giving you the option, 2 people the opportunity, or 2 people will win a private session with me to do that. They can invite as many friends as they like. You can give it to your company or whoever. And so just to sort of put a little value on that, normally I would get paid, depending on the kind of firm, anything between £600 to £1,000 to do that. So I hope you're excited about that. And by the way, you don't have to do yoga to be able to do this. It's accessible for all. Right. The big prize is a leadership circle profile. So this is a 360 leadership profile about you. It's about what your strengths are, what your weaknesses. Well, not weaknesses. I'm not going to say weaknesses. About your development areas. It is what other people think of you, where what your high potential aspects are, and what are the areas that you could flip to really become much more of a fearless leader. So that is it's quite an expensive tool, actually. If you were going through a company and buying it, it's about £1,500 plus. You get a complete 360 profile. You get to know about your leadership potential and your current effectiveness. And you obviously also get the one-to-one feedback with me. So that's a 90-minute session. So it's like a coaching session. All right, so those are the prizes. If you've got any comments about whether you want to win anything in particular, please do put them in the chat. And without further ado, I am going to invite our first guest into the studio. She is a dear friend of mine. I met her on a TV program many, many years ago, and she has been a great influence in my life. She's an amazingly successful business woman in her own right, as well as a TV presenter, a writer, a best-selling author, and she has an amazing product line. Let me just welcome Tracy to the studio. So welcome, Tracey Cox.
Hi. Sorry about in the background. It's like I've got Jesus behind me or something, isn't it?
And I have to say, you've got a very big phallic microphone there. So Tracy,
saying that my main topic of conversation in all this stuff is sex and relationships. So it's a bit fitting to have the phallic mic, isn't it?
It is. So you are an expert on relationships and sex. We're probably not going to be talking about sex today because we are talking about careers, and it's probably not super appropriate. But if anybody does want to check out any of Tracy's stuff, just look up TracyCox.com, isn't it? TracyCox.com. But first of all, Tracy, you're here to tell us about how to build fearless relationships. And, I think it's so important in our careers that we have the ability to win friends, influence people, build relationships, build networks. So can you kick us off with, how do you best connect with people, put them at their ease, and start to build a good relationship?
I think the first thing is it really helps if you're genuinely curious about people. And when I meet somebody new, I'm absolutely fascinated by them. I want to know every single thing about them. And I will ask them all sorts of questions. As you know, Trace, probably far too personal questions. But I do think that if you have a genuine curiosity about people, you get past that really boring small talk stage. And for personal and professional relationships, no one wants to stay in that small talk stage because it's so intensely boring. So I think you're much better off, somebody walking away from you and saying, God, she was a bit nosy, than, God, she just wasn't interested in me at all. So don't be scared to ask the personal questions. The other thing I would say is, which everybody will say, I'm sure, is listen. I mean, everybody likes talking about themselves. How many times have you gone on a date and you've come back and you've gone, that was the best date I've ever had? And it was because you've sat there and talked about yourself all night. And in fact, you've heard nothing about what he said. But we love hearing about ourselves. We think we're so endlessly fascinating. So if you can ask people lots of questions and really listen to the answers, they will like you. And don't do that thing that everybody does where you ask a question and then, the person gets about one sentence to answer. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I think, and me, and I. So don't do that. Really listen to people. I think, sorry, Trace, go on.
Yeah, no, I just think I have to agree. My husband used to tell me off because when we were younger, we'd go to parties. I would just find somebody that I thought was interesting and then grill them because I was just interested. And he used to say, don't do that. It's like, it's just too much. But actually, I agree with you. That person loved it, and I think, there's a quote that says, being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, there is no difference. So I think being a listener, an active listener, is such an amazing thing to build that relationship and rapport. Yeah.
I agree totally with you. And I do think that people quite like questions that they haven't been asked before, because we all get asked the same old stuff all the time. But I think if you're going to do that, you have to do something else. And that's, you need to be non-judgmental. And I think this is a quality that no one talks about. And it's particularly relevant in my job, because as a sex educator and a sex writer, I mean, I've had so many people say stuff to me that, I have to really control my reaction to it. And I've learned that a lot of these people are saying things to me for the very first time. I've had cross-dressers, suddenly announce that they're a cross-dresser, and not just tell me, but leave the room as a man and come back in as a woman. I've had people confess affairs with their partner 2 feet away. I really have to, you can't, that saying where you need to walk a mile in someone's shoes, I think being non-judgmental is a really important characteristic. And I think it's something that, that we undervalue. And I think if somebody does throw you something, you're a bit like, wow, what am I supposed to say to this? All I ever say, if I don't really know what to say, if somebody said something a bit out there, is, that's interesting. How does that make you feel? That sort of gets you out of everything. And the other thing I think that is along the same lines is that keep secrets. No one likes a gossip. And they really don't. We all love listening to gossip, but professionally or personally, you come away from it and you're like desperate to go off and tell your best friend or your partner or something. But there's a little part in the back of your mind that says, you know what? If they're gossiping about them, they're going to be gossiping about me. And especially in a professional sense, we all have good instincts. Basically, most of us do. We know when someone's told us something that you're not supposed to repeat and that you're supposed to keep a secret. So I think you really have to respect that, because I think you can do everything else right and have a reputation for somebody who can't keep their mouth shut or tells things that they shouldn't, and you can say goodbye to your career. I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it is that building trust, isn't it? And building that, because the thing about building relationships in your career is that you're in it for the long haul. I am in touch with people that I started with 30 years ago, and that what you do at any point of your career sticks around. So if you don't treat people right, people can't trust you, then it doesn't really go away. And careers are so much about who you know and your reputation, isn't it?
Yeah, completely about your reputation. In terms of communication, fearless communication, I think one of the most important things with that is that you must know your brand or your mission or who you are, whatever it is you're selling, whatever it is you're promoting. And I think that really is the key to everything. Now, I used to work for Cosmopolitan magazine, and we knew, every single person on that staff knew who the Cosmo girl was. We knew her better than we knew ourselves. We knew what she ate, what she drank, who she'd go out with. You know, she was a feminist, but she was concerned about her appearance. We knew every single, you could give me any situation and I could tell you how a Cosmo girl would react. And everybody on that staff knew that. Cosmos all around the world knew that. And that's why no other magazine achieved this, only Cosmo. And this is why it was so phenomenally successful. And when I rebranded myself and I left magazines and I became a journalist who wrote about sex, I then had to think very hard about my brand. And because no one else was doing what I did, they were either medical or they were very, you know, it was either sort of sleazy sex books or very medical sex books. No one was doing what I did. So when I went to tour around the world and promote my books, you have no idea what people were asking me to do. I mean, I remember my first interview was with The Sun or something in London. And they said, took me to Soho Square and they said, would you pose topless and just put the book in front of your breast? And it was like, no, I actually won't. I got asked to lie provocatively across beds and I had a very strong brand image in my head. I was a journalist. I was somebody to be respected. You know, I was a reporter reporting on sex. So if you know your brand and you know yourself and you know it so well, communicating is very easy because you don't ever have to second guess yourself. You know what the answer is to anything because you know yourself so well. So I think that is really important.
But Tracy, I think a lot of people, and it's something that obviously we're going to be discussing a lot in Fast Track to Fearless, because I completely agree. The more you know who you are, the more confident you are about saying it, you know, because you're not trying to be somebody else, you're just being fearlessly you. But for somebody who's just starting out on trying to work out what that personal brand is, and actually we've got a couple of speakers later, Nicola and Jessica, that are going to be talking about this, but what's your advice for people to kind of go, how do you even start with what your personal brand is?
I think you need to be able to encapsulate what you're trying to do in one simple sentence. So just think about, because if you can't, I mean, when I used to do pitch books, if you couldn't give them the idea in one sentence, they wouldn't be interested. And it's a really good idea for anything, isn't it? It's just make it so simple. Like, what are you trying to do? What do you want to be? What, you know, and just put it in one sentence. Just try and get it right down to that. And that will give you a direction. And
I'm going to ask the audience there, can you say who you are in one sentence? How would you describe? And do you have something, Tracy? Do you have, what would you say? And the people in the audience, if you've got it, can you share it with us?
For me, I know my brand better than I know myself, because my brand is I'm a journalist who talks about sex and, you know, brings the research down to the masses, to the average couple in bed.
Excellent. Good. Yeah. Okay. That's very, very clear. Very, very clear.
Yeah, and it doesn't change no matter what I do, whether I'm doing a podcast, TV show, whatever. And I do think that also less is more, and particularly in this sort of a world that we live in now, we've got so much information bombarding us. I think any communication, you start off with what you want. Like, I don't think there's any point in beating around the bush these days. I think if you want money, if you want somebody to support you with, you know, just say, this is what I want. Give, you know, a small amount of information, enough information you think that will change their mind or sway them to your way of thinking, and then see what happens. I think if you give too much information, people just get overloaded or bored.
I mean, if you think about us scrolling, the minute we don't get it, we're on it. Yeah. I mean, I think that's something that people at home should start thinking about. I mean, I absolutely agree that if you have that purpose statement, it makes everything clear. And I see somebody said, oh, but I've got a portfolio career. I think, well, so do I. But you know what? You'll have a purpose and a thing that you do at the heart of that. So for me, it's like I enlighten and empower talented people to make them fearless about their lives and careers. And the impact of that is that they're going to change the world. So yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah. And what about Tracy? What about, okay, so you've got like how to break the ice, talk to people, be curious, you know, ask them questions, be an active listener, know your brand, who you are. But what about, I can't ignore the body, because you're a body language expert. What tell us about the body? What should we do?
Well, the thing is, all of this means nothing unless your body language makes sense. So say you're the new marketing manager for a company. If you walk in and you're like, hello, I'm the new marketing manager and I'm going to be, you know, you've got to make sense. If you're going to say something fearless, you've got to look fearless. And the easiest way to do this is to keep your posture nice and high. The higher you hold yourself, the higher your self-esteem. So really sit up straight. Good, direct, steady eye contact, not like rabbit caught in headlights eye contact, but a good, not to be scared to meet somebody's eye. These are the two things that will make you look the most confident, because people form 90% of their impression of you in the first 90 seconds, which is pretty scary, right?
Wow.
Your impression of you in the first 90 seconds. That's posture, eye contact, very open body language. Don't cross anything. Don't cross your arms. Don't cross your legs. Keep your hands in view. People do stand like that because the first thing we do when we're nervous is we try and protect ourselves. It's a self-protective thing. And the other thing is hands. If you keep your hands in view, people will see you as open. They trust you. If you hide your hands, people think that you're shifty and you're, most of the time we hide our hands because we're nervous, but you would never make a pitch with your hands in your pockets, or you never should make a pitch with your hands in your pockets.
But it's one of those things, isn't it, that, like, I know that when people are talking, it's like, when I first started public speaking, I was so nervous that I would have to hold on to something because my hands would be trembling, but, and people often put them in pockets because they're not quite sure what to do with them. Now I'm sort of like really doing my hands,
But you can actually hold your own hand just, as a bit of support. But so long as there is use, if you hold it like that, and then as you get more, you get more confident and less nervous, because you're normally nervous at the beginning, and so you just hold your own hand, and then it transpires that you loosen up as you're going along. Also with walking, make sure you walk with purpose. Don't go too fast, because then you look like you're nervous, and if you go too slow, you look like you're not engaging with the world. And the thing that gets you out of almost everything is smiling. Smiling is so important. And even if you're, if you're sitting in a room and somebody else is speaking, if you've got a nice half smile on your face and you're attentive, they will like you. Smiling gets you out of so many different things.
Yes, smiling. Yeah, I love it. Okay, so just to wrap up on the body language, it's basically open, tall to your full height, use your hands, smile, excellent.
Loads and loads of eye contact.
Eye contact, yes.
Yeah,
eye contact. Yeah, okay. And then it's quite funny, actually, because I used to have a big boss who, when he did talks, he would lock eyes with one poor person in the auditorium, and often, like, if it was ever me, I felt like, oh, I cannot look away. I've just like locked in, then it sort of turns into a bit of a battle of staring.
No, not like that. No, not like that. Sort of direct and steady, but also look away, because like otherwise people feel really threatened. And I've had that happen to me. And you just feel like, oh my God, how do I react to this? Right.
Brilliant. Okay, listen, I've got keeping an eye on time. That was absolutely wonderful, Tracy. And I know you wanted to mention your podcast.
Oh, yes. I do a podcast which is on sex and relationships. It's called Sex Talk, SEXTOK. And you can find a link to that on my website, which is tracy@tracycox.com.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks. So Sex Talk, like TikTok, but sex in the middle, in the first. Okay, brilliant. I just want to say a big thank you, Tracy. Thank you so much for coming. And I am now going to press a button which will remove you from the studio, but it's nothing personal. There we go. All right. Brilliant. Okay, so I hope you're really enjoying it so far. This is called Fast Track to Fearless. Hence the swiftness that we are moving through things. But I know that you guys want to get the information straight away. None of the waffle, no nothing. Just a bit of a reminder that the prizes for those who have joined us recently, I'm going to show off my technical prowess. You got to be here until the end. That's my carrot. Okay, so the first two prizes are 2 sets of brand new Fast Track to Fearless mugs, coasters and notebooks. So just to inspire you, or you could give them to a friend to show them how fabulous you are. The second prize, or there's 2 of these as well, is a private yoga in the boardroom session from me to you and your friends, or to your company. And the third prize is a one-to-one coaching session with me that does a leadership profile, which highlights everything about you. It's quite an extraordinary tool. So just to let you know, those, if you missed it at the beginning, those are the prizes up for grabs. All right, so I'm going to stop that screen. There we go. All right, so my next guest guest is amazing. She's called Denise Nurse. I first met her again, actually, through television. She was a presenter on a show that I was working on called Escape to the Country. And so she's a woman of many, many, many talents. So she's a lawyer. She's an entrepreneur. Since we worked together, she has built from scratch and sold 2 companies. So this lady is extraordinary. She's a coach. She's a business coach. She's my business coach. So I have learned so much from her. I'm learning so much from her. I love her new title. It's Chief Success Coach of her company. And she is going to talk to us about having a fearless money mindset, because I think having that earning power really gives you choices and freedom in life. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce her, and then I'm going to leave the studio for her to do her bit. So welcome, Denise.
Can you hear me, first of all?
I can hear you. Okay.
Good.
I'm going to hand over, and Denise, it's going to be 15 minutes, and I'm just going to, when time is up, I will appear again so that you know what it is. Okay.
Just like start counting me out.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take myself out, and action.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much, Tracy and Tracy, for the last session. And to carry on the theme of who I am on a mission to inspire more women and people from the global majority, i.e. not the minority who run things, to become more economically empowered by making more money. So that's what I do in a sentence. Thank you, Tracey Cox. So I want to just set a scene, for this is what I think about. Imagine a world where women earned as much as men. Imagine a world with no gender pay gap, no ethnicity pay gap, no disability pay gap. Imagine a world where women and the disenfranchised made more money and ran their own enterprises. Now, when I imagine that world, I see more equity, better justice, more love, more peace, more freedom, and it's a world that I want to help create. So to do that, do you know where that work starts? I think it starts with us and our minds. By creating a money mindset that works for us, we can achieve the results that we want and create a world as I described. The UN says that where more women work, economies grow. Women's economic empowerment boosts productivity and income. For example, if you increase the female employment rates in OECD countries to match that of Sweden, we could boost GDP by over, listen to this, $6 trillion US. Conversely, it's estimated that gender gaps cost economies about 15% of GDP. So either end of the scale, by not addressing the issue of women and those who I say who are disenfranchised making more money, we have bigger issues. There are gaps at either end. We could be doing a lot more in the world, creating a lot more, and we're losing out. And that's why I'm on this mission to inspire more women and people from the global majority to become economically empowered by making more money. So let's talk about how we do that. Our money mindset. How do you get a fearless money mindset? So for me, my money mindset includes a belief that money creates 3 important things in your life. 1, more time. With more time, we can do more things. 2, more choice. You have more choices about what you do with your time, what you say yes and what you say no to. And 3, more freedom. So let's start with me sharing 5 important money mindset practices, because I want to leave you after this fast 15 minutes with some things that you can actually do. First of all, number 1, review your money beliefs. What thoughts do you have about money? And really think about them, because there'll be lots. There'll be things that you think are just true. There are thoughts that have been conditioned to you by society. Many thoughts that have come to you from your family. I know one of my dad's favorites was, money don't go on trees, you know. And that's usually when I needed some money to go out somewhere or do something. It encouraged me to go get a job and earn my own money. But actually, Dad, that's not true. Paper money literally is paper. It comes from trees. So money does grow on trees. But other things that come up, like more money, more problems. We talk about the filthy rich. people have an idea that rich people are greedy. There's something that there are thoughts that we have that create a resistance to money. Just think about it. What did your parents teach you? What has society taught you? And then notice, do you think those thoughts are serving you towards your own money aims or holding you back? Just think about it and notice. Now, I want to offer you some alternatives that I've adopted, and I suggest you do as well, and that you nurture these thoughts. Money is abundant. I am valuable. I deserve to receive more money. I create money by creating value, and I am open to receiving more. You can just balance those negative old money beliefs with some new ones. Okay, so number one, review your money beliefs. Get a pen, write down what do you think about money and why. Question it all. Number two, check your abundance or scarcity mindset. Which do you have? Money is not limited. It is not limited. It's not a pie where if you take a slice, someone else isn't going to get theirs. Think about it. If that's how you're thinking, then you will be resistant to having more because you will be believing that by you having more money, you're taking away from someone else. That's not how it works. Money is actually quite abundant. There are literally trillions of dollars circulating, more than there ever have been before. Just like the universe, it continues to expand. So the more you create, the more you receive, the more others can get, not the other way around. You don't take away, you don't diminish. There is more. So number one, review your money beliefs. Number two, check whether you have an abundant or scarcity mindset. Do you always think there's not enough? You have to hold on to it because you might lose it, rather than being open to receive. Number three, remember, money is a construct, meaning money is just made up. It's not even a thing. Think about it. We exchange money for value. So, olden days, we would barter, right? I've got my chickens and I'm going to go to you and get some carrots and potatoes and we'll do a swap. But we can't really do that to trade all the different things that we need as a human being in society, to get my electricity, to get my gas, to teach my children, to have roads. We came up with money as a value exchange. That's all that money is. Now, this is important to remember because if money is a construct and it's just made up, who's making it up? You get to make up whatever you think about money. You get to decide how much things are worth, how much value you put on something. You get to do that in your own brain. You'll think that the world tells you that you have to go with the conditions that are out there. But who said that? Think about it. Money is a construct. Just remember that. So that's number three. Number one, review your money beliefs. Number two, check your abundance or scarcity mindset. Number three, remember money is a construct. Number four, invest in yourself. Now, this is something that I learned along the way. I never paid myself for those first 4 years of my business because I thought, this is fine. I'm just plowing into my business and I'm investing and that's what you have to do. Except time was ticking on. And then I realized, working with a coach, I realized actually, if I don't value myself and my contribution, how am I going to value my company? And my mindset shifted. You have to invest in yourself and value yourself first. So then I invested in my own growth, and I know from that day onwards that backing yourself is the best investment you'll ever make. Can't let yourself down because it's you. You're not reliant on anything else. So invest in yourself. That creates value. That creates money. And the last one is value yourself. So as I was saying, valuing myself and valuing yourself is the most important thing you can do to get a money mindset that creates more money, more value in your life. Value you. You are what you're putting out into the world, your energy, and that is what will give you the receipts. So really focus on those 5 things for your money mindset. First of all, review your beliefs. What are they? Question them. Second of all, check whether you have an abundant or scarcity mindset. Third of all, remember, money is a construct. It's made up. So think about what you want to make up. And number 4, invest in yourself, back yourself always. Number 5, value yourself. Value who you are and what you do. Now, if you do that, I think I'm doing okay on time. There are 5 results. There are many results you can get, but here are 5. Number 1, you get to receive more money. You do those things, you can then have the confidence because you value yourself, you've invested in yourself, you have thought about what you believe to get that pay rise, to ask for the pay rise, or to increase the prices for your service and truly believe that what you're offering is worth the value that you're going to receive. For the next job you go for questioning the salary band and maybe asking for more because that's what you think you're worth. Really questioning and not just accepting what is offered and what is given, even when it's offered by your own brain. Question it. Why am I only charging this? What do I really value what I'm providing at? Second thing, by focusing on the value of yourself and what you can provide, you're creating more value. It's a wonderful byproduct of having a mindset that's looking to earn and create more money. You're going to put more value in the world. You're going to help more people. It's really worth doing. It's one of the best byproducts I've experienced of focusing on creating more wealth. Number 3, we now get into my 3. So more time. Money, it's not, you don't earn money from the time you spend. The hourly rate, the 9 to 5, you don't get paid because you spend 8 hours at a job. You get paid because of the results you create. Or in my belief, you should get paid for the results you create, not the 8 hours you spent sitting behind a desk or whatever else you were doing. But you can exchange money for time. So the more money you have, the more things you can delegate, you can give to others, and you can work in your zone of genius and allow others to do theirs. Having more choice, having more money, a lovely more choice, more, don't feel quite so constrained that you have to do what's offered. You can really get a bit more power behind your nose. And the last one, you get to experience more personal freedom. By having all those choices, by having more time, by working your zone of genius, you get to experience your freedom. And that's that process of freeing your mind from the limiting beliefs that are holding you back. That in itself is an act of freedom creation, that part in itself. So the money is the way, is something that you get along the way, but really it's this process that you're going through to value yourself, to create more money, that creates the freedom that you will experience, feeling that you will get, not necessarily the money. It's that emancipating yourself from the mental limiting thoughts that you have in your mind. If anyone remembers In Vogue, I think it was them who sang, free your mind from your limiting beliefs. So I know you may be listening to me. I've got the last couple of minutes now. Tracy's back and thinking, that all sounds great, Denise, but, you know, there is salary caps and there's only so much you can earn and you don't know what my boss is like and my clients can't afford to pay more and. We've all got a list of ands about we can't do this. So some practical steps to help you get over that. Review what you have. Get a piece of paper, write down, what do you have? And then think about, why do you have the money or the value that you have? What thoughts created that for you? Whatever salary band you're at, it became because you thought that's what you could achieve. So then allow yourself to think about what you might want to achieve and go for that. Second, appreciate what you do have. Once you've got that list, really sit in a place of appreciation. Love what you already have, which will allow you to love more what you can receive. 3, give yourself permission to dream big. You see what you have, you know where it's got you so far, what you believe. Give yourself permission to imagine, what would you do if you had £1 million in your bank? What would you do? How would you feel? What would you want to experience? And then 4, ask for what you want. Just as Tracey Cox said, ask. Just ask. You won't believe the amount of people I say that to. And once they get past their own mind and they go and ask, they can actually get the things they want. It happens time and time again. And finally, be open to receive. I experienced all of this. I was going to share the story of, if you're thinking this is limiting, think about Roger Bannister and the 4-minute mile. No one thought it was possible until he did it. And hundreds have done it and since. I started in the East End of London, is where I grew up. First to go to university, set up a law firm based on flexible working with my good friend with no money, no investment, no capital. We bootstrapped. And we grew it to multi-million turnover and we sold it. It is possible. So think about what you can create and the possibilities that you can demonstrate to others, because that will take us another step on my dream of creating the world that I want to live in. More economically empowered women and disenfranchised people. with more money. Thank you so much for your time. Tracy is going to come back now. Here she is.
That was
useful.
Amazing, Denise. And yeah, I mean, we have so many of us have such limiting beliefs about money and our value, and are incredibly self-critical. So it's like a rolling stone that just gathers the kind of moss of beliefs. So that is, and what I really, really love. There's so much in that I love, and as you know, because we're working together, I am working through that. But that thing about investing in yourself. It took me very, very late in life to think about investing in myself. And what really strikes me now is that when you think about big companies like Apple or innovative companies, they put a huge amount into research and development and innovation. And how much do we as human beings invest in terms of time or money into our own professional development? So I've got like a metric. I think if you're not happy in your career, or if you're not happy in your life, you should carve out 20% of your working week to devote to you and personal development and what you actually want. Yeah, absolutely. Loved it, Denise. And the comments have gone wild. So thank you so much, Denise. And Denise, where can people find you? Is it best that they link in with you, or what?
You can find me on LinkedIn, or you can come to my website. It's denisenurse.com. So you can contact me there.
denisenurse.com. This is great. Brilliant. Thank you, Denise. You have inspired so many people. So I am now again going to remove you from the studio. Thank you, Denise. All right, isn't she amazing? Two amazing, amazing women that I am so lucky to have in my life. And even though they came to me through my television career, they are, amazing in so many different ways, So it's just, again, about that kind of networking and who you know, and gather up people all the way through your career, connect, use that trust, that integrity, authenticity to build these relationships, because you never know when they're going to come in handy, and when you might be handy to somebody else. All right, so we've got the fearless money mindset. Now we need the secrets of fearless pay negotiation. And I am so delighted to introduce you to, let me find her, Sian Womes. Now, Sian is one of my women in film and television mentees, because I run a mentoring program for women in film and television to empower mid-career women to break through all those glass ceilings and reach the career heights that they deserve. And Sian came along. She's an amazing talent executive. She's worked for Sony. She's working at Netflix, but she has to negotiate the hiring of people. So she has hired and negotiated the pay from hundreds of people, and she is willing to give us the insight, the things that you need to know from the other side. So how to get that pay rise. So fearless pay negotiations. I'm going to leave you in her hands and hand over to her. Sian, I will come back in. I'll pop up like I did last time when we're nearer the time, but off you go. And thank you so much for coming. Hang on.
Thank you so much for the lovely intro, Tracy. And wasn't Denise brilliant? And I love the fact that this session is going to follow Denise's session, because we share the same mission. So I just want to start off with a question, and please put your answers in the chat box. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I am so super confident, and 1 being negotiation is my worst nightmare, how comfortable are you currently negotiating? I'd love to get some answers in the chat box just so we can start this off. Maybe my chat box isn't working. Oh, no, here we go. We've all flooded in. Right, 3, 8, 6. Okay, so we've got a huge spectrum. So it doesn't matter where you are in your negotiation journey. You could be right at the start and not comfortable at all, or you could be feeling super comfortable. I have got something that you can take away with you to help you with your negotiations. So let's start by talking about the 3 types of negotiation, the styles. We've got compete, compromise, and collaborate. Now, compete is the one that most people will think of. In order for me to win, you have to lose. However, it's not my preferred style, simply because it will often lead to deadlock, and also you're going to weaken relationships. especially when we're thinking about negotiating pay. That's not where we want to be. Our second one is compromise. That's often referred to as, meeting halfway, splitting 50-50. There's nothing wrong with it. But where I think everyone should be is in that collaborate space. So collaborating is often called expanding the pie because we create value. So it can be a difficult concept to get your head around. Let me give you an example. So I was working in talent acquisition for a company and they were looking for a freelancer. Now, it was a short-term project, and at the time, the talent market was crazy, but I found a great candidate. The only problem was that her weekly rate was much more than what that company could afford to pay. So if we'd taken a compete approach, we would have both ended up walking away. Compromise wouldn't have really worked. No one was going to win in that situation. But by collaborating, what I did was get to know the candidate, find out what was important to her. So it turns out that she was not working at that time because her daughter was doing her GCSEs. And what was really important to her, what her priority was to do something flexible that would allow her to support her daughter while she was going through that process. So what we came up with was that we would have her part-time on the project. That meant that she could work from home and she was only doing a couple of days a week, which meant that the company could now afford her prorated weekly rate. But it also meant the value for the company that they could have somebody on the project longer. So in that case, everybody won. Now, I talked a little bit about finding out someone's priorities. So I want to talk to you about how to prepare for a negotiation. And I'm super curious, love to see it in the chat box. When you're going into negotiation, do you currently do anything to prepare? I'm just going to refresh my chat box a second. Yes, no, okay, brilliant. So when you're preparing, we talked about prioritizing. So negotiations about more than just money. What is important to you? It could be the job title. It could be advancement opportunities. It could be flexible working. And if you want to share some things that are important to you in the chat box, we're all here to support each other so other people can get ideas about what they should be negotiating on. And once you've got a strong list, what you want to do is you want to put that in order of importance to you. So you've got that list you can take into your negotiation. The second thing I want you to do is look at the market. So the external market, what would other companies pay for that role that you are interviewing for or you're negotiating for? There are some great websites you can use, such as Glassdoor, LinkedIn. Talking to recruiters is a great one because they will know the market, but also having those really frank and open conversations with people who are in your job role, because it's only going to help both of you out. So you've got your priorities, you've got your market data. The next thing, and actually Denise touched on this, is thinking about the value you bring. So it may have been a while if you've been going through a process where you have spoken to that employer about the value that you're going to bring. So spend some time writing down the benefits, because the best way to influence and persuade people is by selling the benefits to them. And when you're in that negotiation, your mind might go blank. And if you've got a list in front of you, then you've got that as a resource. And the last thing I want to talk to you about preparing is setting your walk away number. Now, this is thinking about what is the absolute minimum that I will accept for this role. And the reason I want you to do this is because that will empower you, that if they are offering less and negotiation is not moving anywhere, then you can walk away. Now, that should be your last resort, but it's better to walk away than accept something that you're not happy with. So the next thing I would like to talk to you about, and we're going to do a bit of an experiment, is anchoring. So I'm going to hold up a post-it. It has got a maths problem on it. I'm not expecting you to know exactly what the answer is. I'm looking for, in the chat box, your best guess. And I'm only going to hold it up for 5 seconds. So, are you ready? 5, 4, 3. Oh, there it is. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you want to just put your best guess in the chat box. Excellent. Okay, so now I'm going to hold up another maths problem. And again, it's only going to be in 5 seconds. I've got no idea on the chat box, which is making me laugh. So here we go. This is your second maths problem. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here it is. Okay. So I presented you, I'm just going to wait for a couple of people to put their answers in, but I have presented you with what is essentially the same maths problem. They both equal 40,320. But if we had time to break down the data in the chat box, the first one I showed you would have higher results than the second one I showed you. And that is for the simple reason that the first one started 8 times 7 times 6, and this one started 1 times 2 times 3. So your mind is anchored to the higher number to think that that number must be higher, or that number must be lower. So that is what anchoring is. Anchoring explains the way that we give too much weight to the first number in a negotiation. So what does this mean for your negotiation? When somebody presents you with a number, you will be anchored to it. So you might want to go a bit higher, but you won't go that much higher. And now you are aware of anchoring, what you can do is diffuse that anchor. Go back to your market data. If you're not happy with that number, you can renegotiate. And often people say to me, who should put out the anchor first? Who should give the number first? Well, in my experience, you should always let the other side anchor first. And that is because negotiation is an information gathering exercise. So you want to know what the other side are thinking in terms of your compensation. And that way then you can use that as a jumping off point, diffuse their anchor if you're not happy about it, and come back and renegotiate it with them. Another question that I get asked a lot is, Sian, what do I do when I'm speaking to an agency or a recruiter and in the first conversation they ask me about compensation? Well, I have a really simple tip for you. Do not give it to them. Now that sounds a lot easier than it actually is. I appreciate that. But when you're in those conversations and a recruiter says to you, I'd love to get your salary to see if you would be a fit for this role, you can simply say things like, well, I would love to learn more about the role before we get to compensation, and then ask them a question. Or, I'm open to all competitive offers. Can you tell me? And then move the conversation along with a question. So I think that our time together is almost over, but I've not seen Tracy yet. So I just want to give you one last tool that you can use. Actually, Tracy's here. Tracy's gone again.
Well, I just popped up and say, it's like the Oscars, isn't it? When they start playing the music. Yeah. It's not quite there, but just finish off.
Right, okay. So we won't have time to talk about the tool, but just one last little thing, and it's just a really simple fact that I love. The best time to negotiate is on a Thursday. Makes sense, right? People are super focused at the start of the week and they're feeling a little bit looser on towards the weekend. So if you've got a negotiation coming up, make sure you schedule it for a Thursday.
Oh my goodness, that is like a stunning bombshell that I have never thought about. Thursday to do your negotiations. And I also love the anchoring thing. So what would you do? Like some people saying, yeah, but when you do those you apply for jobs and they say you have to put in a salary, should you fib? Should you go higher? Should you just put 0? What should you do on that?
Yeah, this comes up all the time. And what I advise people is to either put 0, put NA, or open to competitive offer if it will let you put in words rather than numbers. Yeah. Because you don't even know what the job entails until you start having those conversations. So you want to delay that conversation as much as possible, because a lot of companies will use your salary data as a starting point rather than a data point.
Yeah. Brilliant. And I love that kind of like that sort of, again, Denise talked about it a little bit, is that bartering as well. It's like, okay, well, if you can't give me the pay, if you can't give me this, then I want that. I remember using that, like, okay, if you can't give me this, what I really want is to be called an assistant producer, and so I didn't care so much about the money if I got that bump up. But ideally you get both because we're worth it.
Exactly. And those are called tradables. We didn't have time to talk about them, but if you look up tradables, that is exactly why you prioritize, because if you don't get this, you will probably be able to get something else.
Yes. Yeah. Brilliant. Sian, thank you so much. How do people, I know you're working at Netflix, but how do people get in touch with you? Is it through LinkedIn, or what's your preference?
Yeah, best place is LinkedIn, Sian Whomes, SIANWHOMES. Thank you so much, Tracy. That was really fun.
Thank you. And go Women in Film and Television. All the mentees are, I know I've got a few mentees here today. They are all amazing, amazing women and will change the world. So bye for now, Miss Sian. Like, hang on, how do I remove you? There we go, remove. All right. So we are flying through this. It is not called the Fast Track to Fearless for nothing. Just a reminder that this is Fast Track to Fearless is my virtual academy, which I want to use to help as many people as possible be empowered in their life, to have the self-belief and self-confidence that they need to really be fearlessly themselves, so that they can go out and get the career that they want and have the life that they want, because I think that's the way we're going to change the world. So, so many people that I know are super talented, but full of self-doubt. And the reason I know that is because I was one of them. So, there's sort of what I call the self-critical overachievers. If you've read any of my articles, you might have read that one. I was a self-critical overachiever, and now I'm just a happy overachiever. But anyway, that's a different story. So the next chapter is about how to take your story out to the world. So people worry about what shall I say? What shall I do? How do I tell people about me? And so my next guest, Nicola, in fact, I'm going to invite her in, is a lovely friend of mine. Again, we've known each other professionally for many, many years. She was the best TV publicist that I have ever met. I used to be a commissioner of programs. If I had a series to promote, I would pray that I got Nicola, because this girl is amazing. And now she helps people with publicity and PR and to develop their story. And if anybody saw the recent Daily Mail feature of me doing my yoga in the boardroom, it is because of Nicola. Nicola helped me to get that. So today she's going to talk about how to fearlessly tell your story. And so welcome, Nicola. I'm going to hand over to you and give you 15 minutes.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Tracy. And it's brilliant to be part of Fast Track to Fearless, this mini summit. So as Tracy mentioned, my name is Nicola Rowley, and I'm all about storytelling. And the reason that I specialize in storytelling is because I think it's everything. I trained as a journalist, and I now work in PR, and I run my own PR agency. But actually, lots of people tend to think that PR is about selling. So it's about selling your product, selling yourself, and, telling journalists things that, they can then print it. But actually, journalists don't want to be sold to. What they want are stories. They want to understand what your story is. So when it actually comes to thinking about PR, and if you're thinking, right, I've got a brand that I'm either working for, or I'm in the process of launching my own business, and I want to get more eyes and more awareness in terms of what I do, then storytelling is absolutely everything. And the reason that it's everything is not only can it help you resonate with your ideal clients, but it enables you to have a deeper connection with them. And that deeper connection can mean everything. It means that they start following you. They believe your expert status. They see that you've been featured in publications such as magazines, newspapers, on the television, on radio. And so they want to find out more about you, and then they go to your website, and then they start finding out the details about what it is that you're up to. When you think about stories, we've been telling stories ever since, we were cave men and women back in the day. We used to sit around the campfire and then draw like drawings on the cave walls. Stories have literally been etched in everything that we do. If you go to a dinner party nowadays, the things that you will come back from at the end of the evening will be a brilliant anecdote, or someone has said something and you'll come back and you'll be like, oh, wow, yeah, that was really funny. Do you remember that? Or, yeah, that was really insightful. Or someone did that. Or it's the stories that anchor everything. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping people be able to tell their stories to get themselves out there, themselves or their brands. So when it comes to fearless storytelling, how on earth do you do it? Because sometimes when you look at PR, it can feel like, oh my gosh, what do I say? Like, who's going to be interested in this? And like, you know, what if people just think it's a kind of look at me exercise? What you have to always remember is that it's never about you. So if you're looking to get personal PR, or you know a brand that is, it's not about talking about the brand, it's the story behind the brand and the story of you. So think about how that story will resonate with someone else. Think about that person that has a problem, an issue, something that they need solving. Perhaps you work in television and you're working to promote a new program, for instance. You want to get as many people watching that program as possible. So how do you go about getting people interested? Yes, you can get listings. Yes, you can do, you know, generic kind of things, but think about what is going to make someone go above and beyond to choose you, to watch what it is that you're doing, or to experience what it is that you have on offer. And that comes from a story. Stories resonate. And I think a couple of the speakers tonight have touched on some amazing things. First one with Tracy, she said, keep it simple. She's absolutely right. When it comes to telling your story, don't use flowery language. You don't need to use flowery language. Keep it simple. Imagine that you're talking to the neighbor next door or someone down the street or the pub or wherever it is, but make sure that you don't suddenly go off and start talking about this highfalutin executive XYZ that you've got going on, or that you work for, or anything else, and people are like, well, I don't understand. If you keep it at the kind of man on the street level, people are going to resonate with it much, much more. So really think about that in terms of your language. It's really important. And when Denise was talking tonight earlier, she mentioned her story, and her story is perfect. I mean, literally, you could pick it up, and that is the kind of thing that journalists would be interested in. Someone who wanted to make a difference to women's lives, and so built up a company, and then eventually was able to sell it on and go on and have success elsewhere, but is still looking to empower others through what she does. That is a good story. But sometimes I think when it comes to spotting what a good story is, it does take someone like myself, who's trained as a journalist and worked as a journalist for 13 years, to actually see, right, that's a story. And so sometimes it's just having that kind of radar, or being able to go to someone who can help you work out what works best. When it comes to storytelling itself, I always say, look at the Gruffalo. And then people are like, well, why the Gruffalo, Nicola? Like, why are you coming out with that? It's a children's book. But children's books are simple. And the Gruffalo is the best example of storytelling I think there is. So for those of you not familiar with the story, the mouse starts off walking through the deep, dark wood. He's in search of a nut. And then he goes through the middle of the story, still searching for the nut, but he's thrown lots of different obstacles in his way, with the fox, the owl, and the snake. And then eventually he meets the Gruffalo. But the conclusion at the end is when he ends up in the deep, dark wood, sitting down, eating his nut. And that's the best example of a story, because you've had a really good introduction that will draw you in. You've had a middle where things have happened, and then you've got an ending that draws you right back to the beginning. So you can think about this in terms of how it resonates with your career, if you like how it would all piece together, what your story would be. And if you're stuck in terms of like, well, I don't think I've got a story, because I get a lot of people come to me and say, I don't have a story. I know I don't have a story. And then by the end of a 90-minute session, when we sat down, I'm like, no, you do have a story, and it's actually quite strong. You just believe that you didn't have a story. 9 times out of 10, you have a story. It's just being able to work out what it is. So a really good way to be able to work out what your story is to sit down with a piece of paper and just put a circle around the word me. And then off of that, it's almost like a spider diagram, and then have hobbies, health, relationships, unusual things, and just start going through and writing them all down. Because maybe during the lockdown, you've been working from an amazing she shed at the bottom of your garden, or maybe you've had a pub built, or maybe you have walked so much consistently that you have, like, you know, done an incredible distance, or you've raised loads of money for something, or you've done something that's just that little bit different. I've had clients that have created balloon art displays down the front of their house, and they've ended up on the front cover of a magazine as a result. And they were doing that just to raise money for the NHS during lockdown, but actually they were a balloon artist. So they were able to get their business mentioned through doing that, but they were also highlighting their expertise at the same time. So people are much more likely to then go and work with people. Another example, someone came to me and said, I don't have a story, and then proceeded to tell me literally right at the end of a strategy session that they had converted their garage at their home into a radio station, and they were broadcasting live 4 days a week with positive messages to spread positivity. And I was like, okay, how many listeners do you have? It turns out she has 14,000. That is a story. Or the lady that came to me and said, no, I definitely don't have a story, and I don't know how to do it, and I really have no idea. And it turns out she's making £20,000 a month from her caravan that's parked on her driveway. And the reason that she's been using it during lockdown is because she wanted to have headspace away from the homeschooling, away from the kids, away from her husband and everything else. But by having that headspace, she's been able to build a really successful business. So think about it in those terms. Think about the things that make you different and really own your story. Think about the impact that you can have on other people's lives. It's so, so important that you have this story and you own it. Because, I mean, Tracy mentioned the piece that went in the Mail Online. That's a perfect example of highlighting Tracy's expertise through yoga in the boardroom, but also how, you know, through being resilient, that you can actually take things to another level. And it showed, like, these are all the things that you can do. And it was very much a tip-based piece, but it shows her expertise. And then what happens is people start finding you. And I'm always a massive, massive fan of online media. And I know that, like, there still is, even in the industry today, no matter what industry you work in, there's still a kind of, you know, feeling that actually, oh, it's so much better if you're in print, or, you know, you're in a magazine. What you have to remember is that quite often, then people might not see that edition of that magazine, or they might not see that edition of, you know, that newspaper, but online stays. And so if there's ever anything, like, you know, when you share something with your story, if you're not happy about it, always get the corrected version put online, because that's the one that people will see, and they'll see it months down the line, and you won't even know it, but they'll be following you as a result. And that's what happens. And that's the power of being able to connect through PR, but through storytelling. And it's an incredibly powerful thing to have. Storytelling literally can catapult you from being unknown to being completely known. And I think if there's one thing that I want to share with you more than anything else, remember above all else that your story is yours alone. It's what makes you unique, and no one else can have it. But equally, only ever share what you want to share. Don't feel pressured into sharing something you're not happy to share. And if it involves someone else and you haven't had clearance from that person, don't share it. It's not worth the headaches, and it's just not worth going down that road. But if you're serious about getting more visibility on your brand or on your business, or, you know, perhaps you work in HR and you're thinking, well, hang on a second, I want to really elevate the company, or you work in PR or whatever it is, really think about the importance of storytelling and brand storytelling to be able to elevate everything. And I think Tracy was waving at me.
Yes, that is it. That was wonderful, Nicola. And I think it's so important to know your own story, because I think, you know, I work with so many people who have imposter syndrome. And I think a thing about imposter syndrome, and we're going to talk about it later, is that, you know, you're trying to be somebody else that you're not. And actually, I really, really do believe that if you could own your story, own who you are, then you become fearless, because you're not trying to be anybody else. And so I think what you do and by bringing that attention to asking people what is their story, it makes them look at the path that they've traveled so far and really examine all the interesting things and achievements that have happened along the way. Because I think the other thing about a lot of talented, driven people is that they might, you know, as soon as they've done a challenge, they just throw it over their shoulder, never to be looked at again. And I think we just kind of like leave this trail of amazing jewels in the sand that just get trodden over. And actually, if we had all those jewels, put them in a crown, we would be blooming fearless. So that is a wonderful exercise. And I just wanted to thank you as well for you helping me on my journey and in telling my stories. And any comments for Nicola, please do put them in the chat. What is the thing that's really stood out? What are the take homes? What are you going to do from Nicola's session? And Nicola, how can people get in touch with you or follow you, or what's the best way?
I'm on LinkedIn as Nicola J. Rowley, but I've also got a free Facebook group called the Communications Community. So if you're interested in PR or understanding how your story can help elevate everything that you do, then come on over and join us, because it's a really lovely community as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nicola. I am going to remove you from the studio, but it's done with love and gratitude. I removed myself. There we go. No. All right. Okay. I'm here. So everybody, we are really heading through things. In a moment, I've got an international guest. She's like one of the most glamorous guests ever. She is coming in to us live from Costa Rica, where she happened to get stuck during the pandemic. How glamorous is that? But first, before we do, I just wanted to share again for any latecomers what the prizes this evening are. So hang on a minute. Let me just share my tab. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. Yes. So the deal is you have to be here until the end. Okay. But you know what? The end is at night 9 o'clock. So it's fine. So the prizes are 2 sets, or 2 people are going to win a set of my new merchandise, which is inspiring and something for you to have on your desk or to give to a friend. So you get a mug, a coaster, and a notebook to write down all this inspiring stuff. And those coasters are not going to be sold to the general public. So those 2 are it. You will have a limited edition that never gets made again if you're into coasters. All right. The second or third and fourth, 3 and 4 are 2 private yoga in the boardroom sessions with me, either for you and your friends or for you and your company. And I will teach you the secrets of resilience and well-being at work, and also a lot of what Tracey Cox was talking about, that posture, that really making you feel confident and fearless at work. You don't have to be able to do yoga to do it. And the last one is a leadership circle profile. So this, if your company bought it or you were going to buy it, it is about £1,500. So this is a deep dive into you, what your leadership effectiveness is, how you react in times of stress. It is a deep dive into you. It is amazing, and you get me feeding back that information to you. So those are the prizes, and remember, you got to be here until the end. So sorry if a couple of people have heard that before, but there we go. Stop screen. Right. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Jessica. Now, Jessica is coming live from Costa Rica. I'm surprised she didn't have like a lovely tropical drink in her hand.
I know.
Yeah. And Jessica, I met because she's a fellow mentor. She's very deeply into mentoring and empowering people in terms of visibility, being seen and heard. And I think this is a massive thing in terms of becoming fearless, is to have the confidence, the courage to be seen and be heard. And so Jess has an amazing career in working with on-screen talent. She's got her own company. She was quite avant-garde in setting up her own company back in the day when nobody else was doing it, to really book talent. And she is the host of Finding Visibility. So she's an expert on, when you've got your story that Nicola was telling you about, how you get it out there. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over and I'm going to leave for 15 minutes.
Okay. Thank you so much. So yeah, sorry I don't have a glamorous background today. And I've also got construction going on around me. So hopefully Wi-Fi and everything will be on my side. So thank you so much, everyone. So I'm going to share in 15 minutes my top 5 tips to fearless visibility. And I want to help you showcase your talent and your skills and help you be visible and stand out for all the right reasons. So I'm mostly, but not exclusively, going to focus on social media. But what I share can apply to anyone who wants to appear on radio, social media, Twitter, Facebook, blogs, podcasts, if you want to host events or webinars, whatever that is. All of this will kind of apply. So before we begin, I just want to let you know that it is 1000% okay to be scared or fearful of being visible. You are definitely not alone, and because it triggers all kinds of emotions. And I can tell you honestly, there was a time when I used to bunk off university when it was my turn to do a presentation or seminar. I don't think I ever did a single one because it was genuinely my biggest fear. And this is why now this is my biggest work, because I really want to help you. So before we start, I want you to ask yourself, what is your biggest fear of being visible? So I didn't realize if we would have a chat box. If you can put it in the chat box, and I'm going to try and see if I can look on, I think there's a bit of a delay, but I'm going to try and follow the chat and see. So just what is your biggest fear of being visible? Because it's really helpful to acknowledge and pinpoint exactly what is causing this fear, basically to let go of its power. So whilst you're writing those in, because it's not coming through, I'm going to tell you that you're all going to want visibility for different reasons, and you're all going to have different fears. But whatever stage you're at, the visibility element is unavoidable if you want more work, more money, dream clients, a bigger profile, if you want to build connections, or you just want recognition for the work that you're doing. So all of you can have a voice and be seen. And but the bottom line is that we need to be able to find you. So especially if you want to create real impact. So today I've picked 5 of the most common fears that I hear all the time. And by the way, this was really hard because it's a huge list, but we don't have a lot of time. So I have number 1, overwhelm. So this is like, I don't know where to begin. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't understand how it works. Number 2 is fear of looking like a show-off, especially if you're a natural introvert or shy. Number 3 is content, not knowing what to say or having anything, feeling like you have nothing to say. Number 4 is the fear of public speaking. And number 5 is the fear of being found out or being judged. So hopefully you resonate with one of these. I'm just gonna have a quick look at the comments. So yes, not being good enough, judgment, getting it wrong, tech, yeah. Self-doubt, messing up, yeah, all the feels, right? So I'm going to talk you through each of these and try and kind of break it down a little bit, share why I think it's important, and hopefully offer you a few tips to help you overcome them. So number one is overwhelm. So where to begin? So when it comes to, being visible, we don't even understand and social media, we don't even understand how to use the technology. So I want to call this one out first, because I think overwhelm is actually the biggest block to even getting you started. And we don't want this to happen. So let's strip this back. I want you to think about the one thing that you want to be focusing on right now, that you want to focus on right now. So remember the list I shared. So is it more money, more clients, a new audience, or promoting or sharing something that you're working on, a new product or online program? And I just want you to think simply, how are you going to get my attention? How am I going to book you? And by me, I mean a potential booker of you. So that could be a one-on-one client, a brand, press, media, like Nicola was sharing, how you're going to get your story out there. Anyone who can pay you money, hire you or promote you or collaborate with you, how are you going to get our attention? So as I said, the visibility element is necessary. So I'm going to give you permission right now that you don't need to do everything at once. So you just need to make a decision. What is it that you want? No decision, won't get you anywhere. So you have to make the choice to get started. And all I need to know right now is who you are and what you do, so I can work with you and find you. And I want you to be front of mind for whatever it is that you do, and thinking of this concept of being visible as your sort of business card or your shop window. So my banging tip here is people, places, and things. So I talk about this a lot. So by which I mean, you're going to choose at this point to avoid this overwhelm. Actually, it's going to be in reverse order. You're going to choose the one thing that you want to share and talk about. So this could be, let's say you have a cookbook coming out and you think, I want to start sharing some recipes from that cookbook. That's your thing. Okay. Then you're going to choose a place or a platform that you want to promote it on. So how are they going to find you? So this could even also be a venue or an event space, or it could be Instagram. So that's your place. And then your person is going to be your client or your audience. You're going to decide who your audience is and who you want to work with. So those are your people. So ultimately, we want to get you out there. But for now, I just want you to think about these three simple steps. I hope that helps. I'm just going to have a little sip. Number two. So number two is the fear of looking like a show-off, especially if you're shy. And actually, not even if you're just shy. I think that's a really natural thing, is I don't want to be the center of attention. And I certainly don't want others saying, who does she think she is, really braggedy-waggedy. So this is a massive one, but I got 3 minutes. So here, I want you to think about being visible as nothing to do with you for a moment, okay? Hear me out. So we want to literally take the spotlight off you. So yes, a potential client is definitely going to Google you, no matter what, because people want to know who they're buying from. And no one wants to work with a faceless business, just like we hate, speaking to a robot on the end of the phone, or, we want to connect to a human. So just know that people are expecting to see you online now. I'm actually more surprised when I Google someone and they don't have an online presence. I always remember years ago speaking to friends who were directors and they didn't have a show reel online. And I was so surprised that they didn't have that profile, because what if someone wants to find you or work with you? So just try not to worry about that element. People will expect to see you. But for this step, I want you to really focus on your why. Okay. So back to the book example, if you've written a book or you're promoting a program you've worked on or something like that, come from a place of sense of achievement, or, knowing that what you've created is powerful, and why wouldn't you share that? Because I think you'll actually be doing a disservice if you're not. So that's where that's kind of the approach I want you to be thinking about. So ask yourself, how often do I celebrate myself? How often do I share my achievements? And what is the resistance there? And when you come from a place of service and love and knowing that you're offering value to your audience and to the people that need to hear what you have to say, no one's going to judge you for that. So again, let's not make this about you. It's the value of the message of what you're sharing. So my banging tip here is, when you're thinking about posting on social media, I want you to remember the following 3 things. How are you informing and educating? How are you adding value? And how are you entertaining? Because if you consider these when it comes to being visible, on whatever platform you choose and in any way that you want, I promise you won't feel like a massive show off. It will help. Number 3 is content. So this is obviously a huge block for people. Not feeling like you have anything to say, like who cares what I think, I'm not interesting enough, I'm gonna make a fool of myself, say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing. This is definitely the most common. And I offer loads of strategies for this elsewhere, and how to do it. But I want to keep kind of reminding you here that this isn't about bikini shots, this is about how you add value. So it's your opinion on your experiences, and that's what you're sharing. So when it comes to not knowing what to share, just try and remember to come from that place. And I promise you won't go off track, because nothing will be gratuitous. It will always come from that place. And also remembering, think about something like, if you feel like you have nothing to share, think about what you'd share with a friend today. It's your take, it's your opinion, it's what you're bringing to the table and what makes you uniquely you. So always try and use that as a kind of reference point. And yes, I get that you're kind of feeling like you're, speaking to the whole world, but you'll never run out of things to say. Also, you don't need to dress things up that much. So people buy from who they like, and they are following you because they want to get to know you. So, I often hear like people saying, oh, there's a million people out there doing the same thing as me. Like, how am I going to stand out? And yeah, that's a big topic that I do help people with, but it's always coming back to that truthful, genuine, authentic, the word that everyone loves right now, truthful place, and that truthful version of you, because that's what people are coming to you for. Like Nicola said, your story, no one else has your story. You can't make it up. You can't copy other people. So, people come to you for you and want to get to know you. So my tip here as well for content is, you don't need to post every single day. You don't need to talk about every single thing. But when it does come to content, the one thing you do need to do is to be consistent. So pick a platform, do your research, think about the types of people you want to connect to. So it might be that you want to start building a community. I have a Facebook group as well, and that's just people that I can talk to about this topic all day long. You might want to, if you're a bit of a wordsmith, or you want to follow the news or what's going on, then Twitter's probably your place. If you want to talk more about work, or know what's going on in your industry, then LinkedIn is for you. So just do the research and just pick one platform that that you can be consistent with, that really speaks to you. It's not going to be too much effort. You just need to start with one option. So keep it simple. And remember that people don't need to see everything. There is this Instagram reality life that people talk about, and it doesn't have to be perfect at all. It just has to be good enough. So just make sure that that's the mindset that you're coming from. Number 4, how are we doing? A little bit more time. Number 4, so the fear of public speaking. So the sound of your own voice will literally hold you back. So here I'm just going to share a little story with you about my own story and offer a couple of tips, because this was definitely my biggest fear. So I decided a few years ago that I wanted to overcome this fear, because it was such a huge issue for me, and I just didn't want it to be. So I agreed to do a talk for Soho House about a topic that I knew I could talk about for hours, which at the time was my sobriety. The drilling started. But I equally did not want to stand up in front of, it was actually 70 people. And I didn't actually know what I was going to say. So what I tried to do was I tried to really identify what the fear was. So in that moment, what was the actual fear? And for me, I realized it was the all eyes on me. And so it was the moment when the room went quiet and everybody looked at me expectantly, waiting for me to say something. I truly wanted to die. So, and I realized actually that not only is it so exposing, like it genuinely, I think from a sort of prehistoric, time, it actually makes us feel threatened and ready to be attacked. So once I identified that, I really worked hard on it. Like I meditated on it, I thought about it, I just imagined it like time and again, so that when it actually happened in that moment, I knew how to handle it. And you know, I knew what to do. And I mean, I can genuinely remember it now. Like I feel it. But that really did help take the power away. And the reason I'm sharing this is because, you know, then it didn't really matter. Like it didn't matter at all what I looked like, what I was wearing, you know, if I was having a bad hair day. It really was about, like, I knew I wanted to share something powerful with people. And before that talk, people were coming up to me telling me how excited they were, and, you know, I got to chat to people. So when those eyes went on me, I'd sort of already said hello to a few people, and it was just less terrifying. And the other thing is, you know, I used to go to a lot of talks when I could. And I never went to a talk hoping the person would be really bad. I never went to the talk thinking, oh my God, I hope they mess this up and it's really boring. You know, I always wanted to go and learn. Like I wanted to hear something that I didn't know before. I mean, I pay money to go to these things. So I think, again, like, you know, don't expect the worst. Like it's, you know, knowing that like people aren't there to judge you all the time. You know, this is a massive topic and I get it. And my tips are like, this is baby steps, and these little moments build up to the big scary moments. But think about where you can start speaking up. Like even, for example, Zoom, pre-Zoom. I mean, I literally, if someone FaceTimed me, I would literally be like, what is wrong with you? Like, don't FaceTime me. And actually almost now, if people ring me, I'm like, why don't we FaceTime? You know, because the nature of like how we're all working now. But, you know, are you on, you know, on Zoom, are you someone who uses the chat box, or do you raise your hand and speak out? Like these are genuinely like just little helpful things that you can do to manage this fear. You know, one tip that I would say is start using things like voice memos to record messages so you can hear your voice back and play it back. And when you play it back, listen to it like lovingly, lovingly, and try not to judge. Try not to judge yourself. I'm going to move quickly on to the next one, which is the fear of being found out and judged. Because so this is number 5. So pretty much all of these fears come back to this, the fear of being judged, okay? Not being good enough, not professional enough, saying the wrong thing, making a fool of ourselves. And, you know, I can tell you just very quickly again. So I've spent 20 years putting other people in front of the camera. So as a result, I was always being asked for advice from friends, agents, other people to kind of get advice on how they could raise their profiles. So I started to help and mentor other people who wanted this. But the more and more that this came about meant the more public about it I needed to be, which kind of exposed me to a more vulnerable place, because I definitely didn't want to think about what my colleagues would think of me, or, you know, who does she think she is? And like, do I even know what I'm talking about? And I don't want them to judge me. And maybe I'm not experienced enough. You know, what do I have to say? All of those things. But I knew the demand was there because people were asking me for it. So when I decided that I wanted to help more people and talk more about all this kind of visibility shizzle, you know, I realized that there were people who might want to find me who didn't know me. So I had to, so one thing that I did do was my Instagram handle was Bendy Lady, which was just a bit of fun. I just posted holiday pictures, all that kind of stuff. And I decided to change it to Jessica Bendine. And that felt really, really exposing, because I was like, I'm not only going to sort of put my name out there, I'm going to start talking about this new stuff. And I'll admit I'm slowly still doing it because, you know, it is a slow transition. But things like that, you know, I get that sort of, you're suddenly changing that, sort of putting yourself out there in a very, very different way. But the key thing here is think about when you say everyone's going to judge me. It's not everyone. So try and narrow down who those people are. Really narrow it down, and I guarantee you it's probably 1 or 2 people. It could be an ex-boyfriend, it could be a colleague, it could be any of those things, but really narrow down who that is, because that really helps transmute that the kind of power of that everyone has on you, because it's not true. So I'm going to end it now with just this. I want to just tell you that when it comes to visibility, the key is just to get started, just go for it. And remember, what if what you do does work? What if it does succeed? Don't think about the negative. Just think sometimes like the fear of the success can actually be the thing that you're most afraid of. And I want to tell you that the truth is, yes, all of this is putting yourself out there, really exposing, really vulnerable. But the thing is, even if you were the sweetest, juiciest peach on the tree, someone out there will always hate peaches. So there we go.
Jessica, we could never hate your peach. You're a lovely peach girl. Yeah. Yeah, that was absolutely wonderful. And I think, you know what? I think if you want, it's so true. If you want to have, if you want to grow your career, and everybody here does, you know, there is a certain amount of visibility that you have to have, isn't it? And I used to be frightened to put my hand up in front of, you know, when you have those conferences, I used to be frightened because I thought I'm going to say something that's really stupid, or, you know, I'm just going to be exposed. And then I thought, well, you know what? I need to get on. I need to be visible, as people need to notice me. So what I used to do is like really concentrate on whatever they were saying, come up with a question, and I dared myself to be the first to put up my hand and say it, because I thought if I said it first, then one, nobody else would say it, and two, I'd get it over and done with quick. And I think you're so right that just starting. So once I did that, it gets easier and easier and easier. So say something, get out there. Jess, thank you from Costa Rica.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Yes, please, if anybody's got any messages for Jessica, please put them in. And also, Jessica, so we know you're not Bendy Lady. We're not Bendy Lady anymore. No, but how do we connect?
I still get called Bendy Lady, genuinely. Like, people know me. You know how like an email, like, you know people by their email, like in that context. I still get Bendy Lady. So I am at Jessica Bendine. I'm also at bang_talent if you want to follow the celeb booking side. And my website is jessicabendine.com. And you can email me, hello@jessicabendine.com. And I have like online programs. You can work with me one-to-one. So yeah. Yeah, this is amazing. And thank you so much. And thank you very much. And we love to hear from you. Yeah,
okay, so
thank you for having me.
All right, take care. Bye. All right, so who's still here? We've got about half an hour, 25 minutes to go. We are going to be doing prizes at the end, and you've got to be in it to win it. So Dima, my right-hand woman, is there behind the scenes. In fact, actually, let me just say, so Dima, what do they need to do to have a chance of winning one of those prizes?
Okay, well, I need to know that you're here. So if you put here in the comments, then I am going to collect all the names. And I've got an app which is a name picker.
Yeah.
And it will pick up the names randomly.
Yeah. It's one of those things, you know, like it goes, you put it in and then it spits out the name. So it's completely random. So everybody who is still here at the end will have a chance of winning one of those prizes. So please do tell Dima that you are here, and we'll do that at the end of my little bit. Okay. So thank you. Right. So what I want to do now is talk to you about my bit, which is about selling yourself fearlessly without feeling like an imposter. And it's the first course that I'm going to do at the Fast Track to Fearless Virtual Academy. And I've really focused on this subject because time and time again, when I'm coaching people, when I'm mentoring people, it's the two things come up over and over again. One, imposter syndrome stops them from doing stuff, like the voice in their head is bringing them down. And the second thing is, how do they make the most of their assets? How do they make the most of those little jewels and wear them on in a crown on their head? So how do they really sell themselves properly without fearing that they're underselling themselves? So I just thought, right, for my first course, I'm going to just put the two things together, because one, you need to get rid of imposter syndrome before you can sell yourself fearlessly. So I'm going to share with you a little presentation just to explain more. Okay, here we are. Now I've gone on too much already. And the big thing I just really want to reiterate is that now, you know, I had a really brilliant career in television. I still am a board advisor on certain production companies, but I've got to a stage in my life where I want to use my expertise and my experience to empower you to become fearless about your careers and to be fearless about what you want, to know yourself and to not sell yourself short. Time and time again, you see amazing people, or actually, to flip it on its head, you see people who are in leadership positions or who are, you know, running countries, et cetera, that you think, how the heck did they get there? And meanwhile, the talented people are struggling with this self-doubt and imposter syndrome and not being able to get through. So my mission for the rest of my life, and it's going to be the most impactful part of my life, and I had a successful career, is to really make a change with people, talented people who are holding themselves back. So the first thing is, I just do not want you to sell yourself short. So I'm going to tell you about the course that I'm doing. So Sell Yourself Fearlessly Without Feeling Like an Imposter. So this is for you if you are ambitious and wanting to grow your career. If you are talented and hardworking, but you fear that networking and cold calling. You're experienced, but you worry, you're experienced. You've got 10, 15 years of experience or more. And then you're still thinking, I don't think I've got anything valuable to say. I'm going to change all that. And that you are frustrated because you think you're going to undersell yourself. So this, I know I've heard this time and time again. So just to take you back, this is like 1993. This is my very, very first job as a TV runner. And here I am, very, very excited to meet Frank Bruno, who was like heavyweight champion of boxing at the time. And there you see me with my little camera on my fanny pack. Basically, it's like my little camera because I was so excited to see all the celebrities that came on this TV show every day. So it was brilliant. It was one of the happiest days of my life, getting that very first job in television. And I had 3 months there. It was on location. We did all kinds of extraordinary things. And then it came to an end. And what I was faced with was, okay, it was a short-term contract, and the industry I was in was short-term contracts, very competitive industry, like many industries, very competitive. I had very little experience. This was my first job. I had no contacts in the industry, no family in the industry, nobody sort of like to ask or give me a helping hand. And I didn't live in London. And at that time, all the jobs pretty much were in London. And what I realized very, very early on from that first job, that if I was going to get another job, then talent and hard work was not going to be enough. Not going to be enough. What I had to be able to do was sell myself, hustle. I used to say, okay, it's a third talent, a third hard work, and a third is just getting yourself the next job. And that requires being able to talk about yourself. And somehow or other, I managed to do that. And I went on to have a very full and interesting freelance career, and then a corporate career, which I've now left, still on various things I'm going to tell you in a minute. And so the selling myself fearlessly bit, I kind of had to do. Like many freelancers, you have to do it. But, there were things that really, really made that difficult. Anyway, I'm not going to paint too sad a story because it worked. Me selling myself definitely worked. I had this 30-year career in television, mostly as a freelancer. I went from that runner to the divisional director of a big department at the BBC. I'm now a board advisor. I'm now the director of mentoring women in film and television for mid-career women. I own my own 6-figure coaching consultancy company. I'm not telling you what currency that is. And I've launched Yoga in the Boardroom from the scratch. So you might be looking at me and thinking, well, it's easy for you, Tracy. You just you seem so extrovert and you seem so confident, etc. Yes, but, I wasn't actually. And there have been many obstacles that I faced along the way. And this is why I think I have walked the walk and talked the talk, or whatever it is, and know what it's like to walk in these shoes. So I was, for probably my 20s, I was pretty awkward. Until I was 12, people would ask me whether I was a boy or a girl. I wasn't a confident kid. I was awkward. I was, people described me as being abrupt. Because I didn't have any small talk. And, I am an introvert, okay, so you might be looking at me saying, oh, but what you're doing on this TV program, this launch. Well, I've done it. I've learned how to do it. Now, does this sound familiar? Because this was me, are you incredibly self-critical, your own worst enemy? Do you say things to yourself that you would never say to other people? Do you, when you look at your career and when it comes to selling yourself, look at all the negatives rather than the positives? You don't even see the positives. Do you spend your time comparing yourself to others? You know, like, why aren't I like so-and-so, or how come they've got there, and why am I, you know, I'm nothing in comparison? You know, all of these things, I have been there and done that. You know, are you so, I talked about this a little bit more. Are you so focused on achieving those challenges that once they're met, you just throw them over your shoulder like those rubies in the sand, never to be looked at again? And, you know, the other thing is, like, you know, you don't see I didn't see my assets. I was just always looking for the next thing. And if you are like me, I'm hoping, well, I'm not hoping this resonates with you, but this is the thing that I really want to target. So I have so many coachees and mentees who who would probably say yes to everything. And I would love to see in the chat whether you resonate with this list. Is this you? Put a yes in the chat box. So that there's so many people that I coach and mentee that I call them self-critical overachievers. They are overachievers. They've done so much, but they're so self-critical that they don't even think they're achievers. And I know, because I was one of those people. All right, so what I've developed using my professional experience of a 30-year career and having to sell myself to get the next job and being quite successful with that, I am now a coach. I'm a coactive coach, a PCC coach. I've coached probably about 1,000 hours of people now. And as a coach, you get professional skills which help you to get into the underlying deep stuff about that imposter syndrome, what yours is, where it comes from, what fears and values it relates to. And with that deep understanding, you start to understand how to process it and how to deal with it and what to do when it occurs. So obviously I've worked all my life in entertainment, so I know how to sell things, how to present. And also in my yoga in the boardroom, it's very much about using that posture and presence in the workplace to create a positive and confident aspect. So I've put all of those things together to come up with a fast, focused and fun process, a step-by-step process to solve this issue on how to sell yourself fearlessly without feeling like an imposter. So this course, I'm going to tell you about it in a bit. It's online course. It's a self-paced course. But basically my method is this, you know, number one, you deal with the imposter syndrome, the limiting beliefs and the inner critics. So you get to understand what they say about you, because a lot of your inner critics reveal values that you hold very dear. So for example, you know, somebody might be thinking, you know, oh, what I'm working on is not that important, or somebody else is going to look down their nose at it because it's not that, you know, it's not as fancy as the thing that they're working on. Well, you know, what that says is really that actually one of your values is respect and recognition. You don't want to feel stupid. You don't want to be looked down on. And so when you identify that actually it's respect and recognition that is a value and something like oxygen to you, then you start to think, okay, so how do I build up? What do I need to do in order to get more respect and recognition? Okay, I'm actually going to go out and talk about the work that I do and tell them about the intricacies and how hard it is, etc., etc. Just a little example. So dealing once and for all. So this course is really going to get to the bottom using those coaching skills of what your imposter syndrome and what your inner critics are about, and come up with, I introduce a concept of inner champions. So it's almost like if you have the devil on one side, you have the angel on the other side. So this is so that you are never on your own. You've always got a champion who's going to say something to your inner critic. The second thing is, once you've defeated or really got to understand your inner critics and your imposter syndrome, is to set a vision of how you want to be known, how you want to be described. So really, without that, what I find is that we go from job to job, just hoping that somebody else is going to see something amazing in us and give us a job. And that can happen organically, but it's much better in terms of selling yourself fearlessly if you know what is the desired impact. How do you want to be known? What is the vision of how you want to be known? What are the words? How would you like to be described? And then once that, I'm going to take you through a process of how to do that vision, how to really, really hone it down. And then the third thing is using a step-by-step, it's a pyramid process that I learned when I was media trained to go and do interviews with the press about strategy and all that kind of thing. It's a step-by-step process that helps you create your key message at the top, the thing that you want to land, and it uses your expertise, your proven, you've got evidence, expertise, pillars of evidence, and evidence of what you've done. So it uses your real life experience in order to support that key message. So the important thing here is that it feels really, really authentic, because I know a lot of people don't feel that they can sell themselves without feeling like feeling like an imposter. So this way, this method that I've used hundreds of times before on myself and with my mentees and my coachees is a crystal clear way of developing your pitch so that you can sell yourself fearlessly. All right, next slide. Oh, and so we do have some testimonials for this course already. And actually, I think one of them is here. Natalie is here. If you're still here, Natalie, please. So the imposter syndrome session was a game changer for me. It gave me the tools and techniques that are useful, effective, and easy to remember. These are all different people. The course was so clear to the point it was perfect. Thank you. So this is what it is, or that's what people have said about it. How it works is that it's 6 modules online, taught by me, workbook, and it's all available through Teach. Is a self-paced course, which means you can do it as many times, you can go through it, go back to it as much as you like. Now, independently, we've had this course valued. I'm going to pay that. What's more, you're not going to pay that. And what's more, I am going to add in a bonus. So the bonus is another course, a mini course on how to use feedback for a fantastic profile. So this is a mini course that you will get as well. So this mini course is really for people who struggle, like I did, with the About Me section on your LinkedIn profile or your CV. So if you struggle to know what to say to make yourself stand out from the rest, whether you different language, that's sort of like you get all kind of like corporate speak and it doesn't feel natural. And if you struggle with that, then so did I. And I used this process, this using feedback to create a fantastic profile. And what happened is that I got quotes like this: life and game-changing coach. Working with Tracy is a revelatory experience. Tracy is an empowering force. I've never felt more confident in my abilities than through Tracy's sessions. Now, if you had asked me to write that about myself, would that have happened? Never in a month of Sundays. But because I got feedback and was able to use it in my profile, I can now say I'm known as a life and game-changing coach. When people say working with me is like a revelatory experience, and I'm called an empowering force. And being able to use it to sell yourself. So this is the process. It's basically feedback. It's specific questions that are designed and crafted to get the answers that, genuine answers, authentic answers that would be useful for you to put in your profile. So you use that, you pull out those words, you create a fantastic profile, and that mini course, or it's just a masterclass, really has, again, a downloadable workbook plus the template, the exact email that I give you to adapt it to your own words and then send out. All right, so hopefully that sounds good. So, right, let's talk the investment. So the Sell Yourself Fearlessly Without Feeling Like an Imposter course was independently valued at $597. The feedback course that I've just told you about is full market price. It's like £750, but because of 240. And what's more, there is more. Just as another little invited to a VIP group workshop with me, where we can go as the questions that you have to answer. We'll be able to work through your pitches and practice them. Okay, so I hope that sounds good. Please do let me know in the thing that sounds good. Yes, so that you get automatically, you get the course and the little mini course. But if you sign up, just as an incentive, if you sign up in the next 48 hours, you will also get this VIP coaching session with me. And look at that, doesn't that look fun? All right, so if you are in, please just, I think Dima is going to put up the link to Deal that you can, or in the chat. Yeah. And oh, thank you. I'm getting a notice saying that my Wi-Fi is intermittent. I hope you can hear me. So if you are interested in taking part in that Sell Yourself Fearlessly Without Feeling Like an Imposter course, then please head to fasttracktoFearless.com and you will see it there. And I think Dima is sending something into the chat room, just a link that you can do. Loads more, but this one really pinpoints the issues that I find most of my coachees and my mentees have, how to sell themselves, do themselves justice fearlessly without feeling like an imposter. All right, are we still there? We've got 5 minutes left and we are going to do prizes. Okay, so just a reminder. Oh, hang on, here we go. In fact, actually, I might stop. The Wi-Fi's gone. The Wi-Fi is gone. Okay, I hope you're still there.
We're still here. Oh, looks like Tracy's gone. I'm just pulling the names out, but I'm going to wait for Tracy to come back to announce the winners. She's put me online. So hang in there, people. I'm just doing it now. Unfortunately, I can't share it because it's on a separate app, so you won't be able to see me pick the names out. But hopefully you're hearing all the clapping in the background. Here's another name being picked out. We're just going to wait for Tracy to come through. And I'm just getting another name. Can you hear the cheering? There we go. And we've got Tracy back, hopefully.
Okay, so typical, isn't it? Okay, hang on, there seem to be two of me. All right, I hope you heard that, basically. But basically, we're going to do, if you're in for the course, the Sell Yourself Fearlessly course, do sign up. It's only going to be open for 7 days. So if you don't sign up within 7 days, you won't be able to. It's never going to be that price again. I'm doing it because it's my first one and because you've been so brilliant and showing up. So yes, I'm back. All right. So finally, we're going to do prizes. Dima, did you send me the list of winners?
You need to go to the private chat. It's all in there.
Private chat. Okay, where is it?
To the side. Click private chat.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I've got 2 names in there.
You should have 1, 2, 3, 4. Scroll down.
No, I'm scrolling. Okay. So the first person to win, and you are going to win the set of Fast Track to Fearless, the Fierce, Fabulous, and Fearless mug, coaster, and notebook, is Leanne Renee. Okay, so Leanne Renee. So Leanne, if you're here, just say that you're here so that you can claim your prize.
And that's Leanne on Facebook.
On Facebook. Yeah. Okay, I need another name. I've only got 2 names there, actually, Dima. Okay, so the second person who is going to win the other set of a mug, a notebook, and a coaster is Dr. Julie Luscombe from LinkedIn. Okay, are you still there? I hope so. Hope you didn't lose anybody. I need another person, actually. That's all I've got so far.
Okay, let me write them out again.
It maybe you wrote them when
Oh, you're offline. That's right.
Yes. Oh, the anticipation. Okay, right. So one person who's going to win the Yoga in the Boardroom session is Carol Burton from LinkedIn. I need some more names.
Yep, I've stuck another one on there.
Okay, but we've got 2 more prizes, haven't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
So then the next name, can you not see?
No, I need another
Carol
name.
Burton.
Carol Burton, I've already said, has won.
Yes, there's another name on there. I'm not sure why you're not seeing the chat. Shall I just announce it?
No, just keep going. What? I need 2 more names.
Oh, I see. Okay, let me do another spin then. You've caught up.
So this next one is for the other Yoga in the Boardroom session for you or you and your friends or you and your company. And I just want to thank you all for staying this long. We've just had everybody stayed, so you're an amazing. Okay, the person who's going to win the other Yoga in the Boardroom workshop is Simona Argnetti. Is that Argenti or Argnetti? From
sorry,
LinkedIn?
Argenti. My apologies.
Argenti. I thought so. Simona Argenti, congratulations! You have won a Yoga in the Boardroom session. And so please just still say that you're here. And then I need the final prize winner, the prize winner that's going to win the big ticket, which is the Leadership Circle profile. And the 90-minute debrief. Actually, it normally takes 2 hours to debrief that one. So Dima, can I have another name? Okay, there we go. From Facebook, we have Louise Charlotte. Congratulations, Louise. All right, so those are all the prizes. I just want to say thank you so much. Oh, and Dima, are you putting up the place for people to the banner?
Oh yes, well done. The banner is here, and I've also put the link in the chat.
And the link in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hope to see you on the Selling Yourself Fearlessly Without Feeling Like an Imposter. And I would love to know your feedback. I would love to know your feedback for tonight, because obviously this is the first event that I've done. I want to thank my amazing speakers. They are so inspirational. I hope you got some amazing tips out of that. And I would love for you to, if you've taken any pictures or anything like that, I would really appreciate it if you could tweet about it or post on Instagram or do whatever you can to further the cause. It's really my heart's desire to use my experience, my expertise to empower you to become fearless, because I think that's the way that we're going to change the world. I want you to be, my Fast Track to Fearless Academy is all about career confidence, about becoming fearless leaders and community. So courses, coaching, community. So I want to thank you so much for joining me. If you do have any questions, I'm just going to be here for about 5 or 10 minutes. And so if you've got any questions, please do put them in the chat. And if not, please stay tuned for Fast Track to Fearless. If you like those kind of mugs and stuff, head to Fast Track to Fearless. You can buy them for yourself or gift them to a friend. And there will be more things coming. I've got lots of slogans that people seem to love. I think my motto is be fearlessly you, because I think if you're fearlessly yourself, you don't try to be somebody else. You know who you are, what you want, and it's my job to help you know how to get it. So if there are any questions, please do let me know. If not, please always just keep in touch with the Fast Track to Fearless Academy. I am contactable on LinkedIn. I am contactable on Facebook. Wherever you're looking now, I am there. And then just a small reminder to say, I obviously do one-to-one coaching. So I don't have as much time to do that. But if you are interested, then do get in touch. So for now, is there any comments or questions? Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, any kind of comments would be really good, because it's the first time we've done it. And I really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. And Okay, well, I think there's probably not going to be any comments. I look forward to beginning this amazing relationship with you, and I look forward to helping you to become a fearless army of talented individuals who are no longer self-critical and that can go out there and change the world. All right. So I just want to say thank you to Dima for doing all the technical stuff and really just helping out. I couldn't do it without her. She's my right-hand woman. Thank you to all the amazing speakers that we had. And I want to thank you for all coming. I know there's many distractions, so I'm very honored that you spent the evening with me. So thank you very much. And so the prize winners, we've got their names down, haven't we? Yes. Okay. So we will be in touch about your prizes. All right. So be fearlessly you. Have a wonderful evening. Bye. Thank you, Rachel. Thanks, everybody. That was great. So Dima, shall we end the broadcast or yeah. Okay.
Now. Bye.
Okay. Bye.